It's really nice to see all folks all together and kind of a show of solidarity, that kind of stuff. And I know most of the time you guys don't really get a chance to see the big picture because you're doing your shows, and then the guy before you talk to him for a little while, and the guy across the case may be, and then you're doing your show, and then afterwards just pandemonium while you're getting your stuff out. The next person comes in, so you don't really get a chance to get the whole scene of like, this is a radio station. It's not just people having the time and stuff. So the station's been around for about a couple years now. A lot of you folks here are coming across your first anniversary, and you have some new folks and folks that recognize. So we've got a lot of response from the article we had in the Sacramento News and Review. We were lucky enough to have the meeting published in that article, and I'm really pleased with the response that we're having. And, this meeting, hopefully, when we get finished, we'll hammer out some sort of goals that we want to accomplish in the next year, and basically sort of form into a nice radio station type unit. And if there's things that people like to do, like if you're into promotions or engineering or anything like that, I can pretty much use all the help I can get. And if it's stuff like that you're into, then we want to make this pretty much your radio station. And I'm just here to make sure that everything goes okay. And I don't want it to be totally like this is Shane's world or whatever. It's everything. We want to eventually have a system where there's decisions that have to be made. You guys all take part in it. And as tough as that may be, get everybody together and all that kind of stuff, we still want to give you guys the opportunity to take part in the station, because we wouldn't be here without you guys. And that's really what we're all about here, just doing things for the community and providing a good service that, unfortunately, people don't know about, and that's one of the things we're going to try to fix next year. Well, I'd like to introduce Ron Cooper to you guys. He's over here. He's our Director of Operations and Training. You may not have a chance to meet him, and he's my boss. So, I give you grief. He's the guy to talk to. So,
nobody's talked to me yet, so I guess you do that.
That's it.
You just mentioned it.
That's it? No, it's not. I'm not going to reevaluate my position. Well, I guess we can pretty much go ahead with the agenda here. By the way, stuff is over there. Most of you guys have a copy of the agenda, and there's handouts for production grants and all the kind of stuff we're going to talk about. There'll either be stuff there, or I'll let you guys know where you can pick up a lot of these sheets anytime you need to. So first thing, I'm really happy to announce that we have T-shirts, really cool radio station T-shirts, and for a limited time, actually, Jeff Grinza did the graphic work on them, and he's responsible for the cool logo that we have. And I think this is a good first step because it is going to get the word out. It's like if you wear a T-shirt, it's sort of like the walking billboard. It's like, yeah, this is my show, and this is the radio station that I work for, or that I'm a part of, and that kind of thing. And we can get basically a presence out in the community with these and promote the kind of stuff we do. Well, I'll give you an idea. Here's the front part of the T-shirt. It's white letter and stuff, and then the back, a little small, but there it is. The KCBL logo, community radio that says it all, and it's what it is. By the way, these are $10, and we have large and extra large now. There's about 12 of them. 10, because I got 2 of them. So So we'll take orders for the next batch. I didn't want to have to buy a whole lot because you know, it's the whole cash flow thing, and we did want to basically be such a bunch of t-shirts.
Excuse me, Shane.
Yeah.
You take hot checks?
Oh, hot checks? Yeah. Well, I know. Well, that's no one Yes, a simple phone card. That's all I do. And so, feel free to, you know, simply snag one of those or put in an order, and we'll pretty much take care of it after the meeting and stuff. So, like you say, you know, thanks to Jeff and you know, the cool folks that made that stuff possible. Yeah. So, second thing, actually, don't mind not. It's cool. I'll go ahead and sit down here because I don't want to be the total Hitler youth saying, yes, today we're going to talk about this. And also, you know, don't get the impression I'm going to rattle on for 2 hours because I'm really, you know, not that cool at public speaking. And if I did that, you guys would really get an idea of how little I really know. I can't really afford that. So
just remember the few good words here. I do not recall.
that's it.
I've got those to do with public speaking. I do not recall.
I wasn't there then. So what we're going to do is, like, most of the stuff is more action items. The agenda is grouped up into 6 sections. A lot of those are patterned after the sections of a radio station where they have programming, promotions, engineering, that kind of thing. And what we'd like to do is form committees, or at least get folks that are interested in a common subject, and we'll basically have action groups, and then we'll divide up the cool task of promoting the station and getting a lot of the stuff done amongst you folks, so that we can share the workload and get a lot more stuff done. So first we got here is like the articles that we've had in the past. Most of our promotions in the print media has been accomplished through our viewfinder, which is the newsletter that the foundation publishes. And you're all welcome to submit articles for that. And basically they have to be in by the basically the first or second week of the month, so that they can get in the next month's viewfinder. And we have had a couple of articles in the Sacramento News and Review, little, you know, small things. But one of the things I hope to accomplish when I'm, you know, by the way, I'm going on full time in January, so I'll be here a lot more to help you guys out and get a lot of this public relations stuff done. So I think this last article that we saw in the News and Review, Buzz Norton's column, which is really an outstanding article, that is pretty much the first step to the kind of stuff that we'd like to see out in print. We want to basically get the word out about the station, but we also want to tell folks about the cool music that we have here. And so if any of you guys would like to submit stuff on, it doesn't have to be the station in general, it can be just on your show. If you need help with that, or if there's anything I can do, you know, let me know, because we want to get as much stuff out to as many people as possible. And
did you talk to anybody about news review and full articles?
actually, I haven't talked to like Mr. Newman is the only person I've talked to, but that wouldn't be a bad idea. If we could you know, get some type of a full page thing, that would be really cool. There hasn't really been any negative response to this. It's just that most people just don't know what's up with the station, and it takes them a little while. So I'm really optimistic. So that's what we can head for as far as if there's anybody who'd like to you know, spearhead the sort of PR campaign or whatever. It's okay with me. Now, don't get the impression too that I'm just like, yeah, he's trying to farm out his job to all you other guys. No, I'm totally going to be doing my share of stuff here too. It's my job. So. Okay, ITV pages. Now, I don't know if a lot of you folks, most of you folks know about the ITV, home interactive television. Basically, that's channel 18 or 17 video, bulletin board stuff, whenever the video is not running. Now, what we're experimenting with is having people make individual pages that will cycle through, and you'll have a single page that talks about when your show is, and basically information about your show, what type of music you play. And all this stuff is done on the Amiga computer, so we can incorporate graphics or just anything pretty much that if we can take a picture of it, we can get it on the computer. We're looking into various forms of transferring between IBM and Amiga stuff too, so we can incorporate other computers into this thing too. But basically, it comes down to the bulletin board request form is what you need to fill out if you want a bulletin board page. Now, the way it's done on the video side is that you'll give this form. There should be some copies over there, and if they're not, you can obtain those in the front office. Go into there's a little, oh, yeah.
I need one.
Yeah, there's a section to the left of the door when you go in. That's where most of these forms are kept. So basically, what I like to have, folks be thinking about what you'd like to say on your pages, because, like I was saying, the video people, when they have a message that they'd like to have run on ITV, they fill out these forms and they submit them to our bulletin board playback operator, and he basically creates the pages. Now, since we're going to have, I know all your folks are psyched to do a page, and I'm expecting a lot of participation in this. We figure what we'll do is, like, if you want to diagram your pages out as well, along with the bulletin board request form, just go ahead and give them to me, and then I'll create your pages for you. And we can, work together, because there's a couple of computers that we have here that, we can work together as far as, like, designing stuff for video and that. So, but here again, if you've got Amiga resources or you're pretty psyched on graphics or any of that kind of stuff, and you have an idea that you'd like to try, we'll totally give it a shot and see if it can be translated to the Amiga format. Now, I don't know, I'm just learning about this computer stuff too, so it's going to be a learning process for all of us. But a few of the things that we've done, Total Carnage has a page up, and of course all of the bulletin board stuff for radio, that's all done. I've been able to do that pretty successfully. So I don't really, I'm not looking forward towards a whole lot of problems getting your pages up. So it'll take us a while, but we can take care of it. Let's see. And then one thing, this is something that like input on it. What I was thinking we might like to do is sort of have a group promotion where, say, all the modern rock folks get together and we'll make a page that promotes, their shows, so that it gives people an alternative not only to listen to the one show, but if they like the same kind of music, there's a couple places throughout the week they can get a hold of that similar music. So here again, it's up to you guys if that's something you want to do, or it ties in later on down in the agenda when we talk about programming. So we'll see what's up with that here in a little bit. Are there any questions so far? Because I'm sort of running through a lot of this stuff to get it out of the way, because there are some discussion items down in the farther on down the agenda there. If you guys have questions over the stuff that I've covered.
Yeah, Shane.
Yeah.
These high TV announcements of programming, they can't include voiceover or video, or is that possible?
Well, the high TV announcements are strictly video, so they wouldn't include voiceover stuff anyway. It's just a billboard page that you will create, and it'll be cycled. Actually, it'll be in the promotions section of the high TV. I think it's menu number 4 or something like that. That it'll direct you to the promotions and other. It's like a little menu section there. And basically, what this is going to be is just, like I said, strictly a video thing that will air simultaneously as the radio station airs on channel 17 and 18.
Shane,
Yeah.
I have a question. On our show, where it's just, we want us to say basically I have like so many various different types of programs within a certain period of time. I have like 4 who have their own shows, but I do basically engineering until they're coming into certified and stuff. And I guess when you're talking about deadlines, I guess when you're bringing in this here, are you talking about a specific date?
Oh, no. I pretty much, a lot of this stuff isn't really going to happen until January, because I'm going to be on my vacation starting the 13th of December, and I won't be back until the 2nd of January. So a lot of this stuff, the whole meeting, is sort of like a preliminary to what's going to happen in '92. So it's like, these are things to be thinking about, and then we'll really start raging after January. So by February, I'd like to have a lot of this stuff in place. It doesn't have to be a big a start, but at least the groundwork will have been laid in January, so we have a lot of this stuff. Basically, all the PR tools working for us at that time in February. So basically, it's up to you folks. Yeah.
Got an idea. Instead of just having the bulletin board, how about we get 17 and 18, and make a video, kind of like a commercial for the station, which we don't have to like introduce everybody or have anyone on, just like pump the station.
Well, that's exactly. It's a totally cool idea. We can get a hold of video folks like Nick, we have a generous cameraman over there, and tie in with the video side, and definitely do.
I'm pretty sure we can make the logo on the Amiga, right?
Yeah. It's like if you ever remember the old Spirit of the Radio television thing, the commercial, a lot of that, the logo that was on the back, that was done on the Amiga. So
That's a really good concept, though, that he has.
And that's a wonderful idea. And just for those of you who may not be aware, the video side works the same as the radio side. Pull those volunteers together to do the video, and it'll run, and it'll run often. So no problem with that at all.
I have a question with that, just for further thought. The problem I see with the full shoot video is that where does the high TV come in if the video is showing on the radio side? And so I guess to curtail that, is there any way to modify or add information to the existing bulletin board which is playing while we're saying, which has the logo up there, you're listening to this, which is flashing, which is some of the flashes on high TV?
Let me explain something about high TV, which will answer that question, because some of you may be thinking of a bulletin board in the sense of some, like a carousel, where you see a page, and then you see another page, and the page goes through that whole series, and the page starts again. High TV is an interactive system that's activated by someone at home with a touch-tone phone. So obviously, whoever is on the line at any particular time is calling up whatever pages they want to call up. There's about 200-300 pages in there right now. So what Shane's proposing here is that there be a, it's a branching kind of mechanism, how you author that in there, and then there be a branch for radio promotions of your individual shows. So you go through those menus, get to that section on radio promotions, and then page after page see the different radio promotions. But obviously, that process, dictated by an individual at home with a touch-tone phone, can't sync up with any of the audio underneath. And keep in mind, the audio underneath is your way of being assured that you're in 210,000 subscribing homes. We know everybody gets the video side. It's always been a question and will forever be a question, how many get only pure, I mean just the radio side of it. So that's why the two don't sync up. High TV and the audio underneath are two separate processes.
Well, that's one thing I'd like to address is the fact that even though we reach a lot more people with high TV, we need to use that as a form of promotion rather than getting people to tune in to us on the television. Because, because for one, I mean, it's in mono and there's phase errors that are built into the system here. So that's not our primary means of broadcast. And it's actually, you know, we need to focus more on the fact that, hey, you can get cable FM, and it's just like cable TV, only it's cable FM. And it's nice that we have high TV as a promotional tool, but I'd like to try to get away from the fact that that's the only means of reception with regard to the station. Now, a lot of you folks, especially the folks at Sac State, they've been promoting the radio station and the high TV video side as well, and that's encouraging. It's really good to see that. And hopefully, by this time next year, at least 5 more people will know about FM.
There's a question over there.
Oh, yeah.
I was just curious about what Sacramento Cable has done in the past and what they plan to do in the future about advertising what we're just talking about, the cable FM.
Now the question is not going to be answered in this room because there are no representatives of Sacramento Cable. So if this group would like to ask Sacramento Cable that, I think that'd be a very important question for all of you to ask and to have answered. The experience that I've had is that the whole marketing of radio in general, which amazes me as a business why they don't do a better job, but they just don't do a job. So it's not just this frequency, it's all the frequencies. It's hard to even, how do you hook up, how much does it cost? A lot of the salespeople don't even understand that. And promoting it or where it is in the future, we're the last to know. So.
Right. Do you deal at all with Sacramento Cable?
We do, but in terms of what they elect to do in their marketing, what they elect to do in terms of future growth and possibilities, we read it in the paper just like you.
Right, because I don't know if a lot of people in here listen to some of the Bay Area stations that are on FM, Live 105 being my favorite. I've talked to Ruth Blank, who's the marketing director at Sacramento Cable, and she says as of February sometime, all those Bay Area stations are going to be dropped. Live 105, KMEL, KSOL, all the Bay Area stations. I'm fighting, trying to get them to stop. I want them to keep Live 105 because I'll go crazy if they do that. It's very interesting to see what's going to happen. They say there is, the reason for it being, they gave me, there's some new satellite system that is out of Atlanta. There's going to be 40 different formats. There's jazz, there's classic rock, there's rap, there's alternative rock format. There's 40 different formats, and that's beamed up to satellite. They can pick that up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no commercials, no DJs, just 24 hours, 7 days a week of music. If you want to know what song it is, to get this, you have to have a special box, like the TV cable box. You can no longer steal the FM like a lot of people do now. They don't scramble the FM. That's a big reason why they're dropping it. There's only, out of 210,000 homes that cable goes into, there's only 1,500 people paying for the cable FM. And I mean, I know there's a lot more people out there that listen to Live 105 or any of the other Bay Area stations. And it's that people realize that if they have cable for their TV, they're not going to pay that extra $4.50 a month. They're going to go get their splitter and hook it up themselves. And I asked them, well, can't you scramble it? You know, rather than lose it, I'd rather pay that $4.50. And they go back and forth on it. You know, they say, well, it's a little late now. They've already made this decision. And it comes down to money. They believe that this new cable thing will cost $9 a month. You'll have to get a special box to get it that comes with that $9. And if you want to know what song or what group a song is you hear on one of those 40 different satellite formats, you hit your remote and it'll read out what group, what record label, all that stuff on the. And that'll be great. That'll be better than nothing. But I don't believe. I think, for instance, the alternative rock one, it won't dip into some of the import stuff, the rare stuff that like Steve Masters plays on Live 105. You won't be able to get that.
How's KCBL going to fit into that?
It'll be, that's, they're planning on keeping like 3 channels on the FM, which one of them will be KCBL, I think Audio Vision, and
There's no way they're going to be able to wipe us out because that's part of the
right.
contractual agreement with Sac Cable.
They're keeping No, the bottom line is the reason they're getting rid of these Bay Area stations, they tell me, is because they're running out of room for information on the cable line. They have 62 TV channels. They're going to have these 40 different formats of satellite radio. They're just plain running out of room. They are not losing their equipment up on Mount Vaca in Fairfield, which brings these Bay Area stations to us, because that same setup, that same relay station on Mount Vaca is also used for some TV stations from the Bay Area. KICU from San Jose and a few of the, so that it will still be there. And there is talk that if there's an uprise in the future, they will bring it back. I personally don't want to see it go in the first place. So the more people that call them and bug them and let them know that they want this FM availability from the Bay Area, they'll probably have second thoughts about changing it. It's just that so many of the people that call and complain about it are stealing the $4.50 a month anyway. They're just hooking up their splitter. And my reply to that is a lot of people that get cable don't even really watch a whole lot of TV. So really they're paying $21 a month for basic cable, and then they're stealing the $4.50 radio. Well, you can, if you want, get them to just bring cable into your house just for the FM. My brother got cable in his business just for the FM, and all he paid was $4.50 a month. So I think they could end up losing a lot of money. A lot of people could drop the TV side of it. They'll lose $21 a month, and then they'll just get the $4.50, just the radio. So there's a lot of different options Sacramento Cable is going to have to think about. But the more people that call them, and her name is Ruth Blank, she's the marketing director. So get the word out for people who like Live 105 or any of the other stations that they plan on dropping it as of February unless something comes up.
Well, that may explain why the new channel card came a few days ago.
Sure, it doesn't have
the FM stations aren't listed anymore.
Right, and that's exactly what it is. So.
Well, I think it's a total outrage that they should charge for access radio anyway. I mean, this was mandated by the city council that this become available to the population, and that they should charge money for people to be able to hook up and listen to access radio. To me, it seems like a breach of the whole concept of public radio.
There's a fine line there, because a lot of people aren't really hooking up for the access. They're hooking up for the Bay Area stations. And I don't care how big of an antenna you have on your roof or what kind of tuner you have, some of the Bay Area stations you aren't going to be able to get here in the valley. And
can it be more effective by training people to be able to give this in Sacramento radio? I mean, obviously the format on the station, which happens to be in the Bay Area, is a popular by consensus or opinion station. So instead of concentrating on saving the people who are 80 miles away from us, why don't we improve people who are right here? Why don't we take care of our own backyard and train the people we've got instead of relying on someone 70, 80 miles away who really doesn't give a 2 cents about us when they get down to us? You may like 105, but what have they done for you lately? And look at these people right in here. These are the people who we can work on and turn into professionals to give the same sort of music. You could be the jock here in Sacramento who gives the music which is missing from 105. So I'd say get your head out of things about the band and prove yourself and do the job yourself because you can do it.
Well, that's interesting. I interned at Quad, and Julie's interning at Quad right now, and that was my dream and that was my intention.
Hold on to it.
But if anybody that knows that deals with Quad, the management there is,
But that's radio.
it'll never happen. There'll never be a live
But
one.
see, the business of radio is that formats change depending on where the money is. So saying it never will change its format, be that is, you know, is biting into a myth, which is basically a big carrot in front of a horse. Outside of that, you don't have to just go with Quad. There's so many stations. 102.5 is going to change their format over again before spring gets here. Because KJ dropped their urban format completely this week and went satellite feed with rock and roll.
In the Bay Area?
No, right here.
You know, that's, I think James says it.
That's interesting because they're the only station really playing urban music. I can't believe that they would change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's going to play urban music in Sacramento? There's a big market for them.
There's a question down here.
Yeah, no, I kind of have to agree with what you were saying before, and that is, when I started off doing my show 2 years ago here, I was focusing on one kind of music, and through the fact that I had, you know, the access available to me, you know, I've branched off into 2 different shows now, doing 2 different types of music. So I think what you said is probably a valid point. I've heard your show, and it's just as good as anything I've heard coming from the Bay Area station. So
My show?
yeah. So I mean, you know, I think he's right. Is to concentrate on what you're doing, and if we can make people more aware of our station, you know, forget the Bay Area station.
Right.
We can concentrate and localize on the community here, as far as what we're doing radio-wise.
That's the way I look at it. I mean, if people are hooked up to get Live 105, they're going to be able to get my show.
Right.
If I promote my show, but what I'm also doing in losing Live 105 is I'm also losing my source to make my show good.
But the thing about a lot of that is that the community doesn't even know that we're here. So that's what we need to be focusing on, not so much what's on the cable dial, because we can't promote anything else, you know, that would get into conflicts about non-commercials. What we need to do is work out a deal with the cable company or something where they either, you know, like start promoting this, this cable radio thing or something, because I'll tell you one thing, once you know, the satellite syndicated heinousness takes over,
That's
it's
what
not going to be...
I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't think this cable thing's going to work. Who wants to pay $9 for no DJs, no commercials? I mean, part of the thing about me listening to Live 105 is that I know when all the cool concerts are going on down there, that I know where all the good clubs are to go to. I mean, a lot of people complain and say, why would you want to listen to that? It never tells you what's going on in Sacramento. Well, frankly, in the alternative scene, there's not a whole lot going on in Sacramento. So I tend to go to the Bay Area.
Well, you know, one thing I'd like to, we need to be the source of information for all that. We're like, there's alternative jocks here, there's folks that do things in clubs and all that. We can tie all that together. And that's, we're, in the larger sense, you know, beyond being a community radio where everybody plays their music that they like, we're a force that can tie all that stuff together. And that's, you know, what's neat about this whole thing. It's like that's what we need to, you know, like I said, get the word out, and especially, you know, we talked to Ruth and stuff, and
I've been trying to get Sacramento Cable. 4 years ago, I called Sacramento Cable about Live 105 on cable. And I think I had a lot to do with them putting Live 105 on their FM lineup 4 years ago. I've been listening to them ever since. And I don't know how many different people I've spoken to over the years at Sacramento Cable, trying to get them. At one point, I tried to get them together with Live 105 and maybe split the cost of a couple billboards and stuff. Promoting, because one, it would help Live 105, two, it would help Sacramento Cable. So, and all of that, cable's for your TV, they don't understand that that is just an insulated information wire that carries audio and video. And
that's right, exactly.
we need to get, exactly, and you know, but I've been fighting this with the head people at Sacramento Cable for 4 years.
Okay, well,
So maybe I need all you guys behind me when we go in there.
That's it. That's why we're here. And anybody, you know, like, we ought to pretty much like, get a, dare I say it, committee here, to basically get, to do this promotion thing. You know, we need to have basically a three, pronged attack into the community here. We need to focus on the cable company. We also need to, get the word out to the print media, and we also start needing to have promotional events that give back to the community. Now, those are, seems like the three, here again, I can be, missing a lot of stuff, and, that's why, we're here to get your input on that. But what I'd like to see is, if anybody would like to form this committee and basically, let's like, okay, these guys are, we're just going to attack the cable company. We're going to give them grief until they say one way or another.
I think that's a great idea.
Shane, I've listened to your suggestion, listened to Doctor's suggestion here. Is that you guys, it's really great. I like your combinations of suggestions. Basically what myself and my staff that we do every other Thursday night, we have a program which is basically, we're targeting just to syndicate. We do our show with just basically a guy saying that he's the unseen DJ. But basically what we do is we do more or less of like, it's more or less, not to say trick radio, but these guys do all the programs, they have separate programs. And what we do basically, we run the programs like we're satelliting it from somewhere else. I think the idea that I've come up with my staff is what we need to do is that everybody that's AOR or modern rock should all get together, and one specific jock within that format should satellite, or may say trick radio, satellite one program that's maybe a countdown AOR, countdown modern rock, or different various programming that they would put on each other modern rock jocks or AOR jocks show. Anybody that does R&B or hip hop, you're welcome to syndicate. You can take my show on your air if you're R&B or syndicated, rap or something, or jazz. You can take my show and play it on your show if you feel like it. If you got 30 minutes to spare in your show. It's just basically where we should first, Shane, when we attack the market, we should first, whoever does your promotion should get a demographic on how many people listen to the station. Where I know your outlet goes through Sacramento Cable, you should get a sheet stating we have this many listeners at this during Monday through Friday and Saturday.
Well, that's in a way, it's like I've run into that question too. It's pretty much like a chicken and the egg. You're like, you can't get a demographic unless you have a demographic that knows about your station. And
I would say get Sac Cable to do the demo.
Well, they're not going to do anything for free.
Because there's a lot of things to cover. You've already heard very clearly. What's your first name?
Aaron.
Aaron has worked 4 years diligently because it's something he cares about a lot. Sacramento Cable is a business. Sacramento Cable is bringing in this satellite service for Atlanta for business reasons. So certainly Aaron's point about this group who is interested in keeping the San Francisco stations or this one station coming in should call Sacramento Cable. As any business, certainly they'll respond to consumers calling with things that they need. But don't get so far down the line expecting that you're going to influence the marketing decisions of Sacramento Cable and miss the point of why you're here tonight. You look at what you do control. Look at what this kind of open forum allows you to do, and let that other, do what you can do, but let that other kind of do what it does and do what you have control of. So don't give up what you got in order to go after something that you may or may not get. Just to kind of bring it all back home.
Definitely, because I kind of think that we've had the success that we've had over the past year. It's just like we're now much a station now, and a lot of things just seem, you know, when we're doing our own thing and we're being a true community station, then that publicity and stuff is just gonna follow, because people are gonna go, yeah, these guys are doing something. They're giving back to the community. They're playing. You know, you got your segment that's gonna go, well, this is the kind of music that we like, and then you have the other segment that's like, well, you know, these guys are giving me information and all that kind of stuff, and we will, you know, definitely be a better entity to be reckoned with at that time. So, what we're doing now is laying the groundwork for that.
As I understand it, if they do drop Live 105, this might be a great time to jump on promoting our station, because of all the people that have the cable hooked up for Live 105, all of a sudden they're going to tune into 103.5, and it's not going to be there. And if we can get, my understanding of how it's going to work is, you're going to need a special box for $9 a month to get the satellite channels. The Access Sacramento and just a few other stations will be left on the regular FM unscrambled. So what will happen is you'll tune in, and across the board where all those other Bay Area stations used to be, that'll be nothing but just silence, no signal. 88.7 will still be there for free without that. The box is only for the satellite stuff, as far as I understand. So that would be a good time for all those people that want to tune into Live 105. It's not there anymore. If they know that there's something else to listen to, like you said, if we could get all the modern rock DJs together in 1 or 2 days, if they have 1 or 2 days a week they could listen to cool music, that might, I mean, we'd get a lot more listeners. But as far as the demographics, like Shane says, it's almost impossible. They know that there's 1,500 people paying for the FM hookup. They don't know how many people are stealing. Could be 5,000, 20,000. There's 210,000 homes that have cable wired into them. How many people went out and got the splitter? Who knows?
Well, you know, we're talking about promotion, and earlier you said putting some promotional material on the bulletin board, which is great. Another thing we might try to do, and I look every week just in the chance that it might be in there, is try to get Dan Vieira mention us in his radio column.
I've called him a few times. I was going to bring that up earlier. I'm glad you reminded me. I would see him writing an article. I think we could get to him and get him to write.
Especially if we have some something special for him to say.
I think this Sacramento, Sac This Week, and the News and Review are much better possibilities for getting something written. Dan Vieira is basically television broadcasting. That's his concentration. He puts little bits about radio in there. You know.
Just rumors he hears.
Well,
who leaves? Who
that's what I've been told.
You have to take it off the flesh if you want something in the paper.
Oh, he did? Because he, unless we keep bugging him really bad, I just think we have more response for Sac This Week or News Review. Yeah, sure, but I'm just saying that I think it's basically.
So is everybody that's now talking about this forming the promotions committee to actually make this and any other decisions on into the future about Dan Vieira, News and Review, and all that? Don't get, please, and please understand, don't get into a debate about which idea is better, wherein the end of the debate is no idea is put forward. See, don't cancel yourselves out so early on. What you're talking about is, hey, use a shotgun. Rifle is not going to work here. Try this, try that. The more the merrier. But you're doing committee work. And the last I heard, Shane, you were asking to form a promotion committee, right?
Yeah, so we can have you guys do your work.
There you go, and make these decisions.
So, Aaron, you want to pretty much be on the committee, and then
You volunteered.
well,
No, that's fine, because you know I've been doing this on my own for a long time. So
how many people would like to join Aaron in terms of the promotions committee? Continue this discussion. Maybe if we pass that sign-up sheet, put promotion committee across the top, pass it around so that, and then we'll pass it around again as we form other committees. So there's a chair, there's a group to come together and talk about all the things tonight and a lot more, because remember, it's an ongoing struggle, ongoing.
a lot of the other things too, you'll find that there's a couple of we're going to have to breeze through the somewhat lengthy agenda here, and a lot of this stuff is interrelated too. So we're going to touch on these topics throughout the stuff. Here again, in the promotional side, we have focused on radio and television spots. Just exactly what we talked about before. It's like it would be nice to have everybody get together, make cards for their shows, so that other fellow jocks can cross-promote their show, especially the ones that have music that is similar in nature. So we need to have folks making cartridges, and we have enough now and everything, and I'll be able to help you too.
Yeah. There seems to be a problem with that too, because anytime a lot of us make these really fine promotions for ourselves, somebody decides, oh gee, what's on this? They don't need it. Bulk it and put on something else.
Take it home with you.
Why take it home?
Bring it back every time you're show. Like if you make a promo ID or something on a card, and you're afraid it's going to get erased before your next show 2 weeks later.
I'm talking about something that goes for people to play.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Well, yeah, it's like I had a real nice one that's gone now. I have no idea what it is.
The way which we solve the problem of the mysterious living bulk eraser is that when you go to the studio and you're making your project on a card, also hooks up to the cassette and have yourself a master copy of it done in case of emergency.
You shouldn't have to do it.
Well,
You should always keep a library of everything you record, whether it's for promotional or for advertising purposes. Error check tapes are the most valuable tools you can use as a broadcaster.
I agree, that's why it shouldn't have to be done.
Well, that's why
He's entirely right.
I'm not saying it has to be done, but if it's I'm not saying that it's a necessity. I'm saying that, hey, if this is a problem, here's a remedy to it instead of, taking it home.
Well, that's not a remedy, that's avoiding it.
Okay, so
Perhaps if all the DJs are here right now, we can all agree not to erase
That's
it.
it. No pen.
Sit in the live booth, do not touch it.
That's the thing. A lot of stuff happens around here that here, it's like it's hard to keep tabs. And here again, this comes down to us all being, forming into a cohesive sort of entity here. And it's like looking out for other people's stuff. If you see a cart that's out of place or something, or something, just say, oh yeah, I know that's somebody's cart, and put it back in the rack, or or do whatever, and make sure that sort of stray people that happen to not really understand how the station works, make sure that they don't get a hold of this kind of stuff, and I'll be able to do that a lot more come January.
Especially when you're trying to certify new people and you hand them a bunch of cards and you say, do it, it's like, practice with these, and they sit there and they bulk them anyway.
Well, that's it.
We should have like we have all those extra cards, we should like do something where the people coming in can use those instead of having to use the ones in the booth.
Definitely. That's a good idea. I'll make cards for just certification only, and see if we can't get those so that they last a little bit longer.
Since we're on promotion here, you had a real good promotional cart last year that was about Access Sacramento Radio. It was a 60-second cart, and you had Rush behind it and all that. Yeah, Spirit Radio.
I still have that.
Well, what happened to that? I used to play that once every program, and now there is no such thing.
I fell victim to the infamous bulk eraser.
Didn't you have it on reel-to-reel, Shane? Well, redo it then. Make a new one.
You get your program where you get bulk now and then.
Don't do the same one over again. I mean, use some new music and change it a little bit.
That's one of the things. It's like I really dig doing production, and I don't have enough time, and now I'm gonna be able to crank out a lot of stuff. Yeah,
I can come in and do it if you want.
Definitely. That's if any folks want to come and do production, definitely. I welcome all the help we can get. So, I guess it looks like we'll fully, move down to the next stuff here. And I'm not really good at this, so it's like lack of tact, but. Okay, for production grants. Now, I'm not really going to rattle too much because it's like I all the time, and you guys are pretty well used to it now. But
Can you skip one thing I wanted to...
oh, sure. Oh,
on the program guide.
Uh-huh.
It would be helpful if we could also get a little bit of space that describes some of the programs.
Yeah, the program guide's
We
too
sure
small.
get a small amount of space.
Magnifying glass, you can read it.
I agree, and the function that we have, you know, the reason that the program guide is the way it is because that's the space that we have within the context of the larger program guide. I expressed concern that our program guide seems to be the incredible shrinking program guide, and you know, that's
More paper, less space.
the way it is. So, you know, there is here again a need has been expressed to have a somewhat more readable program guide, and you know, we'll be able to work towards that. The thing about it is the program guide isn't getting it, and we can't make changes. Then we need to find alternative sources to make ourselves, you know, promotion worthy as well too. So
Buses.
here again, this is. Oh, go ahead. Sorry about that. Yeah. It's not our only tool, and that's so. But you know, I don't want to seem you know, unappreciative of the fact that we have the program guide. But I do know what you're talking about as far as it. I mean, I couldn't even read the one that he had. That's my problem. It's pretty well small. So
Yeah, that whole the whole movement to showing all the access channels. This is the book we're talking about. We're all talking about the same book.
Yeah.
Okay. A little bit of history about that. That increased the circulation by throwing all the different access, KDIEs, Channel 7, the government channel, the education channels and so forth. By throwing it together, that increases circulation from what we had alone of about 2,200 homes to over 10,000 homes. So there's much more people aware of the smaller type. The smaller type is because each of these different entities, per the assigned budget, gets X amount of pages to tell your whole story within those X amount of pages. To go beyond that in terms of additional pages means additional money, and the question is, well, is it within the budget or isn't it? So we have those assigned pages. How we use those pages, you certainly have influence over that. And then it's a question of, okay, what is radio, what is video, who do we highlight, how much space do we use, and so forth.
And definitely, we also, one of the things I like to focus on too is the accuracy of your information that's being presented. Is this over? Time for the station break. This will, on the replay, become a promotional announcement for somebody's show. So, we're gonna.
Is there money in the budget to, if we would create our own, 2 to 4 page program guide that we would send out, we could create it ourselves, and then we have money behind us to print it and send it out?
Well, that's here again. I mean, I pretty much that's a question that'd be best answered by Ron, because I don't really know too much about the work that
Well, you have to look. I mean, we'd have to look at what the costs are. Let me also say that this new approach in terms of program guide for video and radio programming that's come out is not satisfactory in terms of the video producers either. Because if you look at that, you're saying a little description for radio shows, it should be bigger. Look at the video shows. Video shows used to have descriptions, they don't have any now. It's just the title of the show. And that there is not any kind of a newsletter that goes to the video or radio producers right now. There's only this one document to 10,000 homes talking about the programming in the briefest possible terms of all these channels. So there is certainly, I think, room for, we need to do this a little differently and a little better. And I know the video producers are feeling very similarly to this too, in the sense of, maybe we ought to go back to talking to our own as well as to the viewers and listeners. See, because that's what got lost in the logic. The logic is great, but along the way, the newsletter to serve this community got lost. And that you would have more control over. So certainly feedback from this group joined with the video users to go back to something along those lines, I think would be very, very well received.
How about doing something like they do with a video for producer of the month? That would give, you know, you could pick randomly a job to have, you know, a paragraph, this is my show, this is what I do, you know, just like they do for, I'm not sure who picks the video producer of the month, but.
Well, it's an excellent idea. As a matter of fact, there's a sister station, I don't know if you folks may be aware of. It's the closest thing to us that we know of in the nation. It's in Fairfax, Virginia. And they do that, as a matter of fact, in their program guide. They have spotlight on a particular disc jockey and ask them basically questions about how they got involved and what type of music they play. So that is definitely a good idea, and the one that definitely we can have happen here.
Shane, do you have that neighboring station?
What was that?
Neighboring station.
Oh, it's this Fairfax Community. There is no name for the radio station. They use the FCAC, it's Fairfax Community Access Cable or something along those lines, and they say their frequency. They don't really have a name for their station.
This outfit in the United States doing what you do. You understand that. There is no other group like you anywhere in the United States. Does anybody know what Fairfax County, Virginia is? This is the suburb of Washington, D.C. We're talking big bucks, okay? And so they have this, and they do have some things to offer, but you guys were first. It's the only other one we've even heard of. I think there's one in Peoria, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a small operation in Peoria, Illinois.
But that was, so you're it.
Well,
So,
whose idea was this? Sacramento Cable?
Sacramento Cable when it built the plans for video channels.
Why is everyone laughing? Didn't Access Council
insisted on it.
So they made Sacramento
No,
Cable.
hang on. No, with Sacramento Cable, City Council and County Supervisors requested and demanded certain things. But this particular mix of channels and video and community access and radio, that was a mix that was put forth by Sacramento Cable.
They felt that they were making a lot of money and the council wanted them to give something back to the community. Something like that?
Yes.
That may very well have been the deciding factor in having Sacramento Cable win the contract as well, because they were the only ones that put forth that. So I was under the impression that the city actually demanded that whoever bid on this contract have an access radio.
No. They didn't even have to bid on access at all. But if they did bid on access, there were certain minimum requirements. But I don't remember one of the minimum requirements being radio. As you said, this was the only outfit that even did radio. So it was a very novel concept. It got through. But as you witnessed for 5 or 6 years now, they don't do a whole lot with it. That's just a mystery.
Are we a model? Obviously we are for the other. How many other cable companies from major cities look at this as something they might plan to do? I'm just curious why Sacramento's the only one. Is any other cities thinking about doing something? Why isn't the city council of San Francisco pushing Bay Area Cable to do this?
Okay. We could get it. This is a whole other level of discussion. I belong to an organization called the National Federation of Local Cable Programmers. It's national, but it's small, representing these kinds of interests. When you get into the locales and the franchising procedures and the 1984 Cable Act and local city government and county government and so on and so forth, every city does it its own way. And so the fact that this cable company in this community did this, and the fact that it's unique, it's unique.
It doesn't mean that other cable companies are going to run out there and do it.
It doesn't mean anything except make the most of what you got in this meeting right here and now in terms of your plans. And notice, really keep in mind, you're creating, there is very we got Fairfax to look at, they got more money, we were first though and online, but you have a tremendous amount of freedom. Sometimes the amount of freedom that you have is overwhelming. Sometimes the fact that you're absolutely unique and alone is a bit scary, you see. But the idea of 80 different DJ shows every 2-week period that is supervised by one 30-hour-a-week staff person with the level of cooperation that you guys enjoy with each other, except for this one idiot that bulks all the time. Okay? Is an amazing statement of community organization already. If you guys did nothing but do what you do, it's a miracle. Now, the fact that Dan Vieira doesn't notice it, the fact that Sacramento Cable doesn't really pay attention to it, the fact that it's not being done in San Francisco, don't let that stop anything in terms of what you're doing, and focus. See, if you take care of business in terms of doing what you're doing and continuing to do it better, you'll get the notice, okay? But that's, again, I want to bring it back to this meeting to understand that, yeah, you can, as Shane puts, rage against commercial radio and all that they do, but in doing that, don't forget the open opportunity you have to now, okay, so you put your money where your mouth is, what the hell do you want to do different? What are you guys, as you know, as a group of community folks, what are you already doing and how can you do it better? That's why this meeting is so important.